David Schwartz absolutely destroys XRP reserve currency FUD. What am I talking about? Well, there's been a very popular conversation and heated debate in the XRP community for years, but it's come up again lately where some in the community think the XRP will never be a world reserve digital currency. And some in the community, like myself, believe that it already is, and are reminding folks of what Ripple has said in the past and showcasing what everything that Ripple's been doing leads one to believe, and one is not scared to speculate that Ripple is still treating it like a reserve currency. And this has just been confirmed by David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple and one of the three creators of the XRP ledger, as he just appeared on a Twitter space the other day, and he gave us the answer that we've all been waiting for. I'm going to play this clip for you guys. You can listen in. This is the man himself, David Schwartz, in a Twitter space with the XRP community. And you got to love these guys. You know, David, Brad, showing up for the XRP community in these spaces, making themselves available for the community. That is what it is about. Ripple being the most transparent actor in the crypto community space, and the one who has actually set forward a goal that no other company in the space has even come close to, in stating that they wanted to make XRP a world reserve digital currency. So let's just listen in here on what David has to say, folks.
Do you believe that there can be two existing world reserve currencies to simultaneously exist?
I do, and I think that could happen. I think it's quite realistic that a lot of the world is just done with the dollar as their reserve currency. I think that there's a lot of places that are willing to try something else. And one of my scenarios, and I don't think it's going to play out quickly, but like one of my wild case success scenarios for a digital asset is if countries start to realize that the US dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever. Other things are going to be the reserve currency.
That's taking place right now, right? The historic 15-year anniversary of the BRICS summit taking place, right? The rest of the world is waking up, and they're already choosing the alternatives.
And the same thing that we saw with banks, like people, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that like you guys were selling them when they could use something that was like made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that, only like 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, like the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on.
And nobody wants JPM coin. Nobody's interested in it.
For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors. And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rival.
And this is why they're buying gold at the fastest pace in 50 years. They want a neutral reserve currency. And XRP has the same properties as well. It just happens to be one of the best ledgers for moving value as well.
And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the US dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the US dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the money question is, how do you get everybody to agree?
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
That's good.
So think of that alternative, right? If there's an alternative with no boss, nobody in control, right? And do you think that they're going to be caring about a little few XRP holders getting rich? David says, I don't think that that's going to be a problem. And so right there, you have it right there. David destroying the FUD around XRP being a reserve currency. Now, does he come out and say that that's still the goal of Ripple? No. But does he come out and say that that's not the goal? Does he deny those claims? Does he say that they've pivoted? No. And so as I've been saying, back in 2017, Ripple had a simple goal of making a world reserve currency. From that point going forward, and potentially even before that, when they were sitting down with central banks, governments, and the largest institutions across the world, what do you think they were pitching them? Oh, this is just good tech. No, this is great tech, and we are going to use the XRP ledger to source the best liquidity in the world, but we also have a limited supply of a new world reserve digital currency in XRP. There's only 100 billion tokens. Are you interested in having a few? We have an options contract right here for you. In the case of R3, picking up 5 billion. In the case of some of these other institutions, we're yet to see how much they have, been allocated from Ripple's escrow account. And I think that many people are confused, and many people are wrongly speculating that that whole escrow is only accounted for by Ripple. I believe that much of that escrow could potentially already be accounted for in different sorts of options contracts for some of the largest banks and institutions around the world that just didn't have clarity or the ability to hold or custody the digital assets yet. But they knew, right? And these are, institutions and payment providers that are already tapped into RippleNet, but now they want to use XRP, the secret sauce. And just like David himself has said in the past, Ripple is using XRP as a strategic weapon. Right? And that's what all these BRICS countries are doing, is they're using their gold, they're using their oil, their commodities as strategic weapons. That's what Ripple's doing with XRP. They're using XRP as a strategic weapon to dethrone the US dollar standard. Does it mean that the US dollar is going to go away? No. It means that the standard that the US dollar has had has been destroyed. And there is no respect for the fiat currency that was once known as the US dollar. It is time to reset and restructure. Now, we know we have nearly $33 trillion in debt, over $125 trillion in unfunded liabilities, and that is the current status of the government that controls this reserve currency, one that is willing to do whatever it takes to keep that reserve currency status. But I think that they've come up against a problem here where folks just don't need the dollar anymore. The alternatives have presented themselves. And so what are they doing? They're stacking record amounts of gold, and then they're figuring out how to use DLT technology like XRP to tokenize the commodities that these countries control and produce so much of. So they are using their commodities as a strategic weapon, and then potentially with the help of Ripple, they could use XRP as a strategic weapon as well. And of course, they've been stacking a bunch of gold. So if you guys appreciate this one, I sure did, having David pull up in the spaces and check all these people in the community. For whatever reason, they want to control the narrative, and they're mad that I treat my XRP like a reserve currency. For whatever reason, there's these folks out in the XRP community that want to control the narrative. And I think that they're a little bit sad. They're a little bit upset that they're losing their status in their community, right? They're becoming more irrelevant. And so they're lashing out, and it's either my way or the highway, right? My XRP's for this, and so your XRP needs to be for that. Well, part of my XRP's for a reserve currency on my balance sheet, and part of it, is going to be for utility. And I'm excited to support the developers and everybody that wants to build on the XRP ledger. But the main reason why I've added this position is because I believe that it is going to be a world reserve digital currency. And I don't care if you disagree with me. Like I said this weekend, I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to be effective. I don't care to be liked. I want to be effective, and I want to take advantage of the greatest transfer of wealth in world history. That's why I'm here. That's why you are here. And if you want to treat your XRP like a world reserve currency, God bless you. If you could smash it for me on the way out, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can head on over to my website, zachrector.com, if you're looking to get in touch. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.